I think people think that's easier said than done though. Like at what point did your mindset change from like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm working out at noon and slacking to, okay, let's go all in and do this.
Yeah, it was the moment I switched to FFL.
Today we have special guest, Mr. Bowen Sweeney on the call. Bowen's team consistently protects around 2,000 plus families every single month. They've grown tremendously. I think probably the fastest in the whole company this year. So super excited. And this year, Hall of Fame agency is going to get wrapped up here in a few months. So we're excited to see that. It seems like your agent started off faster and stronger than almost anyone out there. What are some main things when a new agent comes in, they pass their test, they go through, contracting and training? How are you getting them to sell so fast, but also so much from the get-go?
It's important to be right there with them. I think not just giving them the resources, say knock out the boot camp, but like showing them to go to work. When it's training, people will say, hey, I can't train so-and-so because it takes from me selling. Well, hell, you're training wrong. Just show them how to sell. That's the biggest thing. It's like, one, role play with them. Like you don't want them to practice on their clients. And that's like, that came from our practice company. And then we came over here and it was so simple. We're like, hey, we don't need a role play anymore. But like practice makes perfect. And if you're not, like, when an opportunity shows up and you're not prepared to present, like, you're not going to close the deal. Same thing with recruits too. So I think it's super important, like role play with them. And then boom, like show them how to go to work. One thing I always did is like, dude, I wasn't the best trainer. I didn't do everything right. There's obviously more efficient ways and better ways to do it. But what I did was like, I would lock myself on Zoom with you, or I would lock myself in person with you, and I would just sell. I'd sell in front of you. If you got on one, I'd mute my client and I'll come over there and help you. But that's the biggest thing. It's like, no, like me sitting there watching you, that's not going to help you. But me showing you how to do it, that's going to help you. It's like if we were playing basketball. If I'm sitting there like, yo, just shoot it like this, instead of like, dude, show me how to shoot it. And you're sitting there and you're shooting it, you're making swishes, you're hitting threes. It's like, okay, I just need to shoot like that. And that's how I was big on training. Like, let me just show them how to do it. I'll show them that I know how to work hard. Last thing I want them to do is doubt that I can do it. And I've had trainers that are like, dude, just sell. I'll sit here and coach you. I'm like, dude, can you even do this? And I was like, that's why I got to show people how to do it.
Facts. Get your hands dirty. That's the biggest thing. Bowen, one of the things that people say a lot is, or ask us a lot, is how is Bowen hiring and attracting such sharp people into his business? What would you say is the answer to that?
I think it comes with numbers, and it's through trial and error. Like in the beginning, I used to take everybody. Like I used to take, if you were homeless and could get licensed, I would take you because I was just so desperate. And then you have to realize like how much value you bring to the table. Every single person here is building a business, and you have to understand, like, dude, it takes more time to drag somebody than to just plug the right person into this business and let them flourish. And it took me forever to do that. But it's like, I probably had 200 people fall out of the business because it wasn't for them. It's not going to be for everybody, but for the right person, like, they're going to take off here. And I think just having difficult conversations. Some people don't want to talk about chargebacks, roll up debt. They don't want to talk about people telling you FUs or the no's. And I'm extremely transparent with people. Yes, you can make a lot of money here, but yes, you're going to deal with adversity. You're going to deal with struggle. And the craziest thing is, like, if you're building a business and you think you're not going to face any struggle, tribulations, any adversity at all, dude, you're in the wrong freaking business. Like, you got to go back to the 9 to 5. You got to work for somebody else and let them deal with that struggle, that adversity. But if we can come in here and understand, like, we are going to go through stuff, like, lean into it, embrace it. Like, you have to thrive in chaos. And I think that's allowed us to grow too. It's like, I faced so much stuff, but it's like, my dad always said, be a solutionist. Like, you got to solve problems. The people that are getting paid here are the people that solve problems. Like, if something pops up and you're like, dude, this sucks, why'd this happen to me? Or you get negative, Like, dude, you're never going to make it. But if you understand you're going to go through struggles, it's going to be tough at times. You're going to have slow months. You may have a couple slow months, but if you understand, like, it's a bigger picture, like you're building the foundation, you're building your business on bricks, and eventually it's going to be up there and it's going to be pumping, like you're going to be good to go. I always say, dude, I was the biggest jackass graduating college 3 years ago. If y'all met me, you would hate me. But it's like, I had to develop myself along the way. And we always hit, I think the people in the Arizona office and the people on our team too, we always hit on like mind, body, spirit. Like, dude, if you're not getting your body right and you're not challenging yourself in the morning and you're not challenging yourself physically, dude, you're going to crack mentally easy. Yeah. But if you wake up, you do stuff hard, you're getting up early, you're doing stuff you don't want to do, and then you get on the phone, somebody tells you F you, you're like, that was honestly funny, but like come up with something original. I hear that every day. And you come into the day with a way more solid mindset than ever. I always hit on that because at my practice company, I was freaking broke and I was still smiling, but I wasn't doing the little things right. I wasn't getting up early. I was working out at noon. I was just free flowing through life. I wasn't taking control of my life. The moment I switched, I kept doing the same stuff, but I switched my habits. Like it took off. I'm like, wow, imagine that. It was just getting up early, reading, developing myself. That way, when negativity hit me, I was solving the problem. And then you're just rolling at that point.
I think people think that's easier said than done though. Like at what point did your mindset change from like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm working out at noon and slacking to, okay, let's go all in and do this?
Yeah, it was the moment I switched to FFL because I knew yeah, eventually I'm going to make it, but I knew I was going to go through some stuff. I knew there was going to be times I bought leads and I didn't make my money back, or I bought leads, I didn't make any money at all. I had to understand I had to continue to invest in myself and get better. And the thing is too, I've been in insurance going on 3 years now. Like my first year, I made $30,000. There's people doing way better than that. But like, that was my boot camp. I had to figure it out. And then it's like, you start making strides and you start making jumps. And it's like, you got to go through some shit to be good here. You got to go through, and it's not like I'm good. It's like, I just endured enough shit to figure out what works for us.
I love it. The more guys, the people that make the most money are the ones that deal with the most problems by far. And so keeping the attitude, just like Bowen said, guys, you have to keep in perspective. Like if you open your own business, whether it's like a franchise, you create your own thing or a clothing line or whatever it is, you got to invest a lot of money up front, and you're probably not going to break even or make money until a couple years into it. So the mindset of like, oh, I just spent $500 and, I only made one sale or made 0 sales when you're starting out. Okay. Like it's $500. Like we're going to be okay. If that trend continues for a couple of weeks, we're going to be okay. You just have to keep on going. And that's the thing. Most people quit, Bowen, when it gets hard. And usually they're you've seen that image where like the guy's like digging in the dirt and the diamond's like the next one, but he quits. And so, got to keep going.
Bowen, let's talk about your first, because I remember this so vividly. Like you were in the office, you were buying your first set of leads and you were like shaking. You're like, oh, I don't want to give you my card. Talk about that, like how you started and from there to now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'll hit back to like at my practice company. I think it's such a blessing. I just stuck it out and I was dumb enough to know that it was eventually going to work out. My first 4 months in insurance, I didn't make any money. Like I was working 2 jobs. I was driving my manager around. He was closing deals. He didn't make enough to pay us both out. So like I was working part-time to help fund this guy and myself. And then it's like, it's crazy. I endured it. And if I did it, I don't know where I would be today. Like I would probably be miserable. My life's pretty dang good now. And like coming over to FFL, they're like, hey, you got to, like, yeah, I was nervous because you're like, you got to spend leads. But I also, like, y'all shared deposits with me. Like, I knew it was real. It wasn't like, well, you can make this money. It's like, dude, show me what you're doing. That's the biggest thing is like deposits speak for themselves. If you can show people deposits, they realize you're transparent, you're being real with them. then I'm like, okay, like takes the pressure off. It's like, dude, I'll spend this money. I'll do whatever it takes to make it back. And I had $300 at the time. I put it on a credit card. But what's negative 1,800 from there? Like I would have kept going. I was pretty much 300s broke anyways. It's like, what do I have to lose? And that's like, if you can go into this business just fearless, understand it's gonna work out, but it may take you a little longer, maybe a lot quicker. There's people that do a lot faster than me, but the biggest thing is you're running your own race. Like you're your own journey. You're writing your own book. Like, do you want it to say, once it got hard, this is the end of the chapter. Once it got hard, I quit. I went back to where I was before. Like I went through so much shit, and I watched my mother and my father go through so much shit. Like, but I'm still young. Like you're finding success now. You don't see any wrinkles on my face. Like it didn't take me 10, 20, 30 freaking years to do it. It's happening now. And that's the craziest thing. It's like, take control now. You see people having success in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hell, if it took me 10 years, I'm doing a lot better than most people. You know what I mean? You see the average income in the age brackets, you're like, dang, I'm on top of that now. And I don't say that it's like, look at me, I say it as I'm a freaking idiot. If I can do this, you guys can. But I think that's also my biggest perk is like, I don't take anything personal. I don't put my emotions in anything. Like if shit happens to me, I'm just going to keep rolling. Like we had an agent say, it's like water off a duck's back. Like if you pour water on a duck, it's just going to roll off its back. Same thing with objections, negativity, chargebacks, roll up, like boom, you just got to keep moving because you're so close to breaking through. And I just wish everybody could understand where you're at is so freaking temporary. Like where I'm at is temporary. Like it's not guaranteed. Like you got to go out, we eat what we kill. Like you have to provide value. And that's the biggest thing. People want results without providing value. We're in a business of not making money, we're taking money. Like the only people that can make money is the government. That's it. Like we go and take money, we convince people to give us their money. So you have to provide value in this business, whether it's recruiting, whether it's sales, it's anything in life. Like you got to provide value to get to where you want to go.
Bowen, you lead from the front, and I think that's probably been a huge reason why your team's grown so fast the way they have. Can you talk about a lot of people have, they struggle when they're getting started with selling and recruiting and trying to balance both. When do you make time for recruiting? How do you fit that in your schedule to do both?
I mean, if you think about it, what we do, if you're working virtually, you're on your phone all day anyways. Like if it's phone burner, if you're sending texts, dude, you can sit there and you can message LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook while you're sitting here working. But it's like, you got to have the discipline too. People, and I'm a victim of it as well. I'm not really a victim, but like at my last company, I would send messages. I wouldn't get the responses I wanted and I would stop sending them. And then I'd pick back up a month later, and then I'd pick back up a week later. And it's like, you have to just keep swinging the bat. Like eventually you're going to hit a home run. And the thing is, I always say, what happens? You recruit a guy like me. I don't need much work. Like show me the system, show me the blueprint. I'm going to figure it out. There's way better people than me out there. And that's what I always think. It's like, okay, he was an idiot. He has no clue. I did a terrible job explaining on the recruiting call. The thing is, I just kept going. And you have to too, like understand, if you think you don't have time for sales, if you think you don't have time for recruiting, you don't have time to be successful. You don't have time to buy the house you want. You don't have time to drive the car you want. And it's like, if you think like that, you're screwed. And we've all been there, but it's like, we have to rewire some stuff. The way we think is not cemented. Like just create good habits. And I think being around solid people, like we're in a group and they nonstop post, yo, recruited this guy, yo, recruited this guy, yo, recruited this guy. And it's a friendly, competitive competition. We're all winning together. Like we want to bring everybody to the top, but you can't drag people. And I always say, like, if you feel like you're dragging people, think of it as like you're dragging a 50-pound bag of sand. How many people you think you could drag? Like, dude, it may get hard at 2, it may get hard at 3, at 4. You got to start cutting them loose and you got to run with people.